Welcome to video 2,
where we'll be teaching you about shake, tilt, and variables.
Today we're going to make your microbit interactive, meaning it can respond to movement. So in the first part, we're going to be going through the shake event. So going through a dice demo, which we're going to briefly explain some key components and blocks, which you're going to be using in your first activity, where you're going to be creating an actual dice demo.
So you remember in video 1 when we mentioned all the components of the microbit and how there's a sensor at the back? Well, one of the things the sensor can do is sense movement. So it can sense when you pick it up and shake it. And in MakeCode, there is an on-shake block. And this means that whenever you shake your microbit, something will happen.
Now in your activity, you're going to be using that on-shake block, as well as some random number from 1 to 6, which is going to be representing a digital dice, which is what you're going to be creating. And you're going to be using all this information to create your dice demo.
Now download handout 1 for lesson 2 and complete activity 1.
Perfect! You've now finished your first activity and created an actual dice demo. Now we're going to introduce something really important. Variables. A variable is like a labeled box that stores information, so you can change it, update it, and use it later.
So create a new project in MakeCode and label it Demo. Now we're going to create a variable called Score, and we're going to set it to 0 at the start. But every time I press a button, it increases.
So give that a shot, try that, and now you've built a counter. Now that we've introduced what variables are, we're going to teach your microbit how to make more complex decisions. This is introducing if, else if, and else.
Think of it like this. If this is true, do this. Else if something else is true, do this instead. And else do a default action.
So looking at this example, we're going to move on to the decision demo. So let's walk through this. We pick a random number from 0 to 2, and this was introduced through the dice demo activity you just completed. And if it's 0, your microbit is going to say yes. If it's 1, it's going to say maybe. And else, it's going to say no. So follow the screen, and it's providing you some hints of which blocks, and give this a shot.
Good job! Now we'll be moving on to our second activity that incorporates everything you've just learned about the if statements. And don't worry if it didn't make sense. The handout goes through everything. So download the second handout and get started on activity 2.
Alright, so on the handout, the Magic 8-Ball code is a pretty simple Magic 8-Ball. So if you want to be as creative as possible, you can change the yes, no, maybe to anything you want.
We even had a kid once change it to brotato chip.
So be as creative as you want and make it your own. So give yourself 10 minutes starting now and be as creative as possible.
Amazing job! Now we're going to be moving on to activity number 3, which is a step counter. So you'll be able to track your steps using the microbit. So download handout 3 and start doing activity number 3.
Give yourself 10 minutes starting now. Be as creative as possible. Congratulations! You just created a step counter. Now we're going to go through how you can actually use it. So we're going to introduce the battery.
So you're going to be plugging the battery into this, and this will give your microbit power without having to attach it to the laptop. Then attach your microbit creation and tie it or tape it to your shoe and walk around.
Make sure to tie it really safely so if you're running around, it doesn't fall off. So now that you created your step counter, use it and have fun.